There's a lot of stuff going on in the world of Pokemon, and I'm talking about Pokemon Pokopia. I think that's how you pronounce it, guys. It's a game that's coming out in March. Okay, I think the actual release date is March 6th, 2026. And it's basically a life simulator. Okay, think of Animal Crossing and just throw a Pokemon skin on top of that, right? This has a lot of people upset, and deservingly so if you're a Pokemon fan. And a lot of Pokemon fans have been upset because they're frustrated with how Nintendo and how Pokemon actually, as the brand, is handling their IPs right now, guys. Okay, they're putting out a bunch of mediocre trash is what a lot of people are saying. Okay, what do I mean by that? Let's start with this keycard situation. This game is going to be using a keycard when it comes out. Now, if you know anything about Nintendo, usually when they say keycard, we're talking third party games. All right. We're not talking about first party games, which this is a first party Nintendo game. This game is not going to be released on anything else but the Nintendo Switch 2. Okay. I think the Switch 1 too, but it's a first party game. And usually when you get first party games from Nintendo, they put it on the cartridge, the whole game, everything, right? They're going to put all this on the cartridge. Everything's cool. That's what most people assumed. People are already mad about Nintendo skimping on these carts and only doing it for first party games. But now what's setting everybody off is the fact that no, just when everybody got comfortable and put their head on that pillow, Nintendo decides to pull out this warm liquefied butter and they're ready to use it in the night.
They've been fondled with.
They're doing it with this game apparently because it's going to be on a key card. So they're not putting the game all on the cartridge, and basically it's going to make the game worthless in a matter of years. One thing that I loved about the first Nintendo Switch is that their games came on cartridge. In other words, you could play this offline. You don't have to be online. You can play it anytime you want, right? There's no expiration date on these cartridges, right? But with these key cards, there are. You have to download the actual game onto your gaming device. And the only way to do it is if you have that key card in there. Okay. So when the servers eventually go down and you have no way to download this game, you can't sell that cartridge anymore. It's worthless. It's a piece of trash now because you can no longer do anything with it. If something happens to your Switch, guess what? Those servers are not around anymore. You cannot download that game anymore. It's over.
I don't like that shit. For sure, bro. I don't like that shit.
That's why people are pirating games. That's why the Switch 2 is going to definitely be pirated, guys. Trust me, the floodgates will eventually open and I will have my popcorn and root beer on standby. I promise you I will. And I'll definitely use extra butter on my popcorn. That's what's going to happen. And they wonder why people do the things that they do. When you run practices like this, what else do you expect to happen, guys? Nobody's immune to this. Nobody is going to be able to escape this. Nintendo should know better than that. It just makes it easier for people to pull out their butter if you pull out yours. That's all this is. Nintendo's saying, look, here's my butter. I'm throwing it on the counter. And then everybody's looking at it and saying, yo, I'm not going to let you get away with this, Nintendo. Eventually, they're going to have their own tubs of butter on the counter. And that's what's happening. Okay? I promise you, mark my words. Mark my words, guys. It may not happen next year or the year after that, but mark my words, eventually they will be pirating these games, especially the ones on the key card, because they got to find a way to back these up. They got to find a way to get their hands on these, right? You don't want Nintendo to be the gatekeeper because they're going to lock it up just like they have all their other games in the past from their other consoles, and they've locked it behind an online subscription. So they're putting out games every blue moon from every system of yesteryear when they want to and what games they want. You don't have that option. You can't go on there to the store and say, look, I want to buy this game for $10, $20 and download it like you used to do at on their old eShops, which I used to love. And I wish they continue to do, but they're not doing it anymore. So they're going to say, no, well, we're going to put out what we want when we want, and you're going to have to just sit back and relax. And the only way you can play these is if you have an online subscription. So people are saying, okay, I'm going to get a Steam Deck. I'm going to go pirate all these games. Boom, there you have it. That's why I have a Steam Deck. I had a Steam Deck instead of the Switch 2 because I got tired of dealing with that. I wanted to play Wind Waker. I wanted to play some of these other games from the GameCube and so on and so forth. And I can do it now on the Steam Deck, and I have them on the Steam Deck. Okay. So I'm not apologizing for that, and no one else should either, because Nintendo has definitely changed. They're not the same Nintendo they used to be. I think we all know that now. And if they want to play dirty, there's going to be a lot of other people playing dirty as well. So that's what's been happening, guys. Another reason why people are upset with this Pokemon game, they say it looks like rubbish. They say it looks like hot garbage. And it does, man. It looks very bland and very mid. And of course, there's going to be a lot of Pokemon shills that are going to come up and say whatever they want. They're going to make excuses why they love it, why everything is good in their opinion. But like I said, in reality is, guys, the true fans, I listen to them because, guys, they're not saying anything wrong. They're just trying to express what they want. You would think that the Switch 2 is an upgrade. Why not put out games that are the same way? Upgrade it. But they're not doing it. They're not doing it, guys. And here's another tidbit that a lot of you guys may not know. Did you guys know that Pokemon is the biggest media franchise of all time? As of 2024, let me just give you some quick numbers. As of 2024, they were worth over $150 billion. More than Disney, more than anybody else you can think of. They are the top dogs, the creme de la creme. That's how much money these guys have made. And it's almost 2026 now. So they've had 2 more years almost, okay, of extra revenue. I don't know what that is. I know it's millions, definitely, and probably at least $1 billion. So you would think that somebody who's making money like this would definitely put money behind their future endeavors, their future projects. Instead, you get this slop that they call a game. And that's why people are so upset. They're so upset because they're like, yo, you got all this money, guys. And this is what you do. You could hire as many people as you needed to. You could do whatever you needed to make this game do what it does. And you're not doing it. And to make matters worse, Nintendo is synonymous for making excellent, beautiful first-party games. Usually when they do a first-party game, they're great games. The Zelda games, the Mario games, they're great. Luigi's Mansion, all of their first-party games, they put their best people on it, their best devs, they're in-house. They have brilliant devs over at Nintendo. Think about how old the Switch is, the Switch 1. They were able to stretch that fucking thing so long. You're not doing that with mediocre devs in the house. You're not doing that. So my thing is, why not put your best people on it, your best resources on Pokemon, which is supposed to be the biggest franchise ever? Why would you cut corners on that? And that's why people are upset, because Nintendo looks at Pokemon like a stepchild, a redheaded stepchild. Okay. They're going to feed you porridge and they're going to feed the rest of the kids barbecue and soda pop. Meanwhile, Pokemon, they're getting fucking porridge and water, and dirty tap water at that.
It's diabolical.
It makes sense. People are going to start calling people out when these things happen, when mistakes get made, as it should be. Anyway, fans are upset at this, man, and they're going to keep being upset. They're going to be outside with their pitchforks until they finally get it together, which, guys, who knows if they ever will. We're talking about Nintendo here. We're talking about a company who really doesn't give two shits how you feel. All right. Nintendo really doesn't care about their fans. They don't put their fans first.
Light his ass up. Got it.
They don't. They do what they want to do, and you're going to get in line or not. Apparently, most people have gotten in line because they're buying it. It's the fastest selling console to date. The numbers are crazy right now. There's a lot of people talking shit about Nintendo, but they're still going and buying the Switch 2. All right. They're still participating in this fuckery. And until that changes, their practices won't. They're going to continue to do the same thing. They're going to continue to put out butter on the counter. They're going to continue to hit people over their head with a foreign object, remove their garments down to their ankles, turn the lights down low, and do strange things to your person in the dark.
And if they doing this shit to me,
until you get tired of it and until you stop buying their shit. And that's why I didn't buy the Switch 2 personally. All right. I wasn't happy with what they were doing. All right. They had nothing to offer. The money they were asking for what they were giving me did not make sense. It didn't, and it still doesn't. There's not a game out there on the Switch 2 for me personally that I say, yo, this is worth owning the console. I need at least 3 titles that I can say, whoa, okay, they're cooking. They're finally cooking here. I need accessories. I need third-party accessories, because you're not going to get it from Nintendo. Even the Switch 1. All right. I had to wait for a third-party accessory before I could actually play it portable. I'm talking about Hori. Okay. Love them to death. That's what I'm saying, guys. It's going to take time to cook. Things are going to start to develop. Of course, there will be third-party things happening. If Nintendo doesn't sue their asses, hopefully we can get some stuff that they let pass. And those are 2 things that are major for me if I'm going to ever own a Nintendo Switch 2. I have friends who have it. They have buyer's remorse. It's just sitting there collecting dust, to be honest with you. In their defense, it's not their go-to system. It's a sidekick system. You know, they're a PlayStation person, so they PS5'd up. They also have an Xbox as well. So if it's your main system, hey man, you know, have at it. If you love Nintendo like that, hey, have at it. But if you're somebody who owns multiple systems, this is not it. This is not it. It's definitely not it for those third-party games. All right, because they're coming out with games that are already released for a lot of other consoles. They're going to be inferior on top of all of that. It just doesn't make sense if you own multiple systems to buy third-party games from them, right? Just doesn't. Nintendo is always, for me, hey, I need to see what you have in the first party. I need to see what you have that nobody else will have. And until I see that, I mean, it's going to take a few years. I keep telling people that. For me, 2 to 3 years is what I'm looking at before I can say, okay, we'll see. And by then, get ready for that Switch 2 Lite or that Switch 2 Plus or whatever they're going to call it. That's just what we're living now. Everybody does it. Everybody does it now. But that's the Nintendo news, man. That's what a lot of people are upset about. You want to piss people off, man, you go ahead and take a shit on Pokemon and see what happens, right? But the question is, does Nintendo really give a damn? I don't think it's going to happen because they're not going to show Nintendo that they give a damn. There's people going to be bitching and moaning, of course, but they're not going to judge with their wallets. The same person bitching and moaning, he's going to bitch and moan all the way to Best Buy as he's walking in with the game in his hand and he's walking out, opening it up. That's what we're dealing with right now. So I'll leave it at that.